Hello, and welcome to a special edition of Up Close on METV. I'm Charles Clapsaddle, Station Manager for Manatee Educational Television. And it's been our privilege over the last few years to document a lot of special events that occur throughout Manatee County. On this edition of Up Close, we're going to be looking at a very special event, one that was sponsored by the Braden Kiwanis Club and the Manatee High Key Club. Joining me today are Charlie Mills, the faculty advisor for Manatee High School. Charlie, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Next to him is Camden Mills, the Manatee High School Key Club president. Camden, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
And next to him is Mary Elizabeth Woodward. Mary Elizabeth, you are the project coordinator.
Yes.
And thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having us.
And next to her, as everyone knows, is John Vita. John Vita is the advisor for the Key Club. And John, this has been a very spectacular project and something that's really touched this community. Can you give everyone who's not familiar with it kind of a big overview of what the high school Keyover was all about?
I'd be happy to, and I'd just like to thank you for having us today to share this with everybody. We thought it was a very special project as well, and in my almost 20 years of doing this, I got to say this has been a very unique and very rewarding experience for us. We really came up with it when, after the officer elections, we elect our officers every year, and you start to think about next year and how things are going to go and what you want to do, and it really takes the shape, the club really takes the shape of its leaders. And we got together for board meetings and we were discussing the next years and so forth, and we started to throw around the idea of a big project, of something that, you know, that was out of the ordinary, that was really special. And we thought about different things that we had done in the past. We've been out of the country and built schools and houses and gone to Louisiana to help with the hurricane victims there and those types of things. And the kids came up with the idea of an extreme home makeover type of a show as we see on TV.
Right.
And they started to discuss it and talk to, you know, as typical brainstorming goes, they talk about, hey, we can do this, we can do that, we could do the other.
With all the enthusiasm of youth.
With all the enthusiasm of youth and with all of the complacency of age, I sat back and said, I think that's going to be very, very difficult to do. And I pointed out some of the pitfalls that I saw, you know, on the horizon and so forth, not the least of which was, you know, the economy that we're in and especially our construction industry and so forth. And they said, that's okay, we'll just go ask those people for their help. And I thought, well, that's noble. That sounds good. Let's plan it out. Let's see. But I was still very, very skeptical. Right. In fact, up to several, you know, maybe a month or two before the project really, you know, broke ground, I was very skeptical about the ability for the kids to be able to convince people that this was going to be, you know, really a doable thing.
And very realistic as well. You know, most times if people come to you and say, well, let's do this, and you try to kind of mold that into something that's not only realistic, but practical. Sure. But two of the individuals, two of the catalysts that made this all possible are right here, Mary Elizabeth and Camden. So, Mary Elizabeth, when you first approached Mr. Vita with the idea, did you see like the little flare of surprise when you started talking about it?
You know, I don't think anyone really thought it would happen. I think it was just an idea we thought of, and you know, we're like, oh, well, it sounds fun. But then when you take in mind the economy, what everyone's you know, there's not a lot of work going on right now. No one has extra money just to be throwing around and helping out really right now. And so I think all of us are kind of skeptical at one point, but then once everyone just jumped on board, it made it possible.
Well, once you got that idea and kind of the stimulus from you and Camden, what was the feeling among some of the students, some of the Key Club members when this idea first came up?
I think a lot of them were excited. Like Mary said, a lot of them were skeptical and wasn't sure if we could actually do it or not, but a lot of them were excited. They wanted to get to work. They thought it'd be a lot of fun, which it was.
And Charlie, as the faculty advisor, when this all started to come to a thing, did you start putting the pen to paper and kind of writing out an outline of all what needed to be done?
It was really a neat process to go through. Several of the key guys with NDC Construction are in Kiwanis with Mr. Vita. And, you know, we talk about the project being over Christmas break, but we really started meeting in September, every Thursday. And a team from NDC met, and each week we'd go through the things we needed to cover, and we'd end the meeting saying, well, you haven't talked us out of it yet. And we just kept on from there.
It came close when Adam Phillips from MDC was really kind of the main coordinator, especially in the initial stages. And he put together all of the major projects and the things that needed to be done. In their estimation, they got together with Dave Bishop from Ugarte Architecture and Engineering, and they started to talk about it. And the day that they came in and told us, you know, kind of what the budget was, it put a little lump in my throat. They came up with the initial figure of about $70,000. Wow. And we looked at that, and, you know, we spoke about it a little bit, and, you know, NDC said, hey, you know what, if you guys want to do this, we're committed to it. We're committed to help you. And what great leadership from, you know, Ron Allen and all of NDC. And once they committed, I think that had a big effect on, you know, a lot of the subcontractors locally and so forth. Having their name attached to it really meant a lot to those people. But you had to knock on a lot of doors and pick up the phone a few times and say, I want this person, this person. How did that all start to happen? Mary Elizabeth or Camden, did you start calling a few people, asking them to participate?
I think Mr. Mills and Mr. Vita did a really good job with that, and a lot of people from NDC, they called up some of the people they work with. My dad helped a lot, and we just got like a lot of local people that everyone's kind of worked with. So let's talk a little bit about once the plans, because you're not going to do anything without a plan and a thing. You got the YMCA involved, and does anybody want to talk about getting the Y involved? John? You know, I sit on the board on the Y, and I thought that was a natural fit because of the gang prevention that Jerry Parrish does, you know, out in the Pride Park area. And as such, Jerry knows the families out there intimately and so forth. It was a bit of a challenge finding actually a homeowner in Pride Park, and somebody, a homeowner that would be responsible enough to understand and accept, you know, what was about to happen, and our vision of what was about to happen. And I think that takes a special person that we found in the family that we selected out there. A very, very hard-working woman who was dedicated, you know, not only to her children, but to, you know, friends and nieces and nephews, and, you know, her parents, you know, living with her and everything else, and just really was somebody that got behind, as we all have, I think, from time to time, and really just couldn't claw out of the situation that she was in without a little bit of help. Yeah, that's really well put, John, because, you know, the house itself was in serious need of repair. And, you know, once you made the designation and Ugarte and NDC looked at it, there was a lot of work to be done. And sometimes that's overwhelming for a family. But the work did begin, and it started off, when was the exact day when you started all the demo? Do you remember, Camden? December 4th. December 4th, and there was a lot of work to be done that day, wasn't there? Oh, yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about how that started. Well, first started, we got assigned the jobs, and we went over kind of the safety issues for that day. Mr. Vita split us up and told us what we'd be doing and how we'd be handling it. And I remember he told us to make sure, be aware of your surroundings. Kind of, if you're hitting a hammer, make sure there's no one behind you you're going to hit with it.
So that was I thought that was kind of funny, but it was important too because, as you can see, I hurt my finger with a hammer. So.
Wow.
But
you had a great turnout that day.
We did. We had about 30 kids there that day, and we filled up the entire dumpster in just a couple hours. So we got a lot of work done. And I think that's the first day that our club really started getting exciting and saw, like, wow, how much work we had to do for this project.
And it wasn't just guys either. There were a lot of young female students out there as well.
Yes.
And that's a nice idea that everybody's coming in to pitching in. So from the demo, which took approximately how long, John?
Well, the demo that particular day, it was funny because everybody thought that it was going to take a lot longer than it really did. And I said the whole day, no, we're going to be out of here by about 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And lo and behold, we were out of there by about 1 or 2 in the afternoon. The issue was that as we continued our demolition, we continued to discover, as the contractors put it, additional issues within the house that we really knew that we'd run into additional issues. We just really didn't understand the scope of some of the issues that we'd really run into.
And that's one of the things, Charlie, that perhaps you wanted to. You're talking about the subfloor and part of the outside of the room that was an add-on. There were a lot of issues that came up that weren't really expected.
Right, and that was some great advice, again, that NDC gave us is, we said, we're going to set this much time to do it. And they said, well, really, let's try to back that up some more because we're going to uncover things, which, of course, we did. So it turned out that we actually moved them out of their home for about a month. And that was just the best advice that they gave us because we needed every second of it.
We sure did.
Well, from that point, after the demo, there started some pretty serious construction because there were a lot of inherent problems that you found and discovered, upgrading the electric. Really, you rebuilt a kind of a part of the wing of the house. So tell us a little bit about that. And you had some great people helping you, too.
We really did. Robert Bolt was the gentleman that came out that really, as far as the structural work was concerned, really took the lead on that. And I know Charlie did a lot of work in the exterior room with Mr. Bolt. And
yeah, he was kind of our on-site supervisor.
Right. And we ended up, putting down a concrete floor out there, pulling down really the fact of the matter is we had one whole part of the house being held up by temporary supports, at one point. Which was a little scary, with a bunch of teenagers running around. But we got through that. But it was just just an amazing part of the project. And then once we shored everything up permanently and so forth, we got the kids a lot more involved, putting on the siding and doing a lot of the things out there in that room that needed to be done. But what all? I worked a lot in other parts of the project. What all did y'all do out there? Tell everybody a little bit more about what we did out there.
Well, mostly what I worked on was framing that side of the house. Siding it, painting it, and stapling it. I did a lot of landscaping. I know we spent a lot of time doing that while we were working on it. And just the whole time, I know we set aside December 4th for demolition, but it seemed like we were demolishing the whole time we were there. Taking stuff out of the bathrooms, and every day there was something, oh, you got to demolish this now.
Yeah.
So it seemed like most of the time, at least for me, I was just demolishing stuff.
I want to take just a minute to tell you, I was so impressed, during the few times. We weren't there every day like all of you were. Every day we were there, John was already there, and all of you were already there. But I just want to take a minute to say how impressed I was with the enthusiasm and the excitement and the dedication of all the young people that were working there. And I know, Mary Elizabeth, you were very busy doing a number of things. There was another young man who has helped us out as part of the program, Eric, who did a great job. You weren't afraid of getting dirty. You weren't afraid of doing some hard work. And Eric did a wonderful job for us. And unfortunately, he's not hosting the program today, or he would be here. So, but tell us a little bit about what the kids learned. Mary Elizabeth, and we'll hear from Camden as well. What did they learn from all of this?
I think a lot of the guys have never really done anything construction, so of course they learned how to do like how to tile floor, how to do all these things that they never thought they could do. And so they liked that because it was a great learning experience for them. But then also boys would come up to me and they're like, you know, this is such a great project that you're doing it. Like, we're so proud of you. You know, this is amazing here. And they came back every day, and you could tell how much it affected them. Because we had that same group every single day. And it really touched their hearts.
Well, and Camden, you were there too. You saw there were people taking out bathtubs and you know, cleaning up trash and, you know, drywall, the whole 9 yards. There was a lot of hard work involved in this. And what did you hear from your friends and your other Key Club members?
Well, there's a group of my friends that was really excited because they kind of wanted to go into the construction business. So they kind of liked to watch the professionals do their thing and kind of like to work hands-on to learn the trade that they might be doing in the future. So personally for me, that was a great experience because I want to become an engineer. So being part of this project, I think, helped me learn a lot. And there was also one of my friends, Brett, who was in charge of landscaping. He has a pretty big yard, so he's doing landscaping at his house all the time. So he kind of brought what he's been learning over the years over to this house and got to use some of his skill he already had. So I think a lot of the kids that I talked to were either learning stuff that they were interested in or taking their skills that they already had and putting it towards this project.
It was just very impressive. And just as impressive among those, and I think John mentioned it at the very beginning, is that the input and the collaboration that you received from people across the community, from different organizations and individuals. And Charlie, tell us a little bit about some of the people that you had involved with you.
It was just incredible to see how everybody you know, did come in. I've mentioned NDC, but there's so many others, and I hope you'll show
we will at the
show
end.
that at the end of the show. But there are just so many other people that stepped up. From an organizational standpoint, in those early planning sessions, we paired a Key Clubber with each of the trade professionals. So when N&M Cool Today came in to do their air conditioning rough-in, you know, Jimmy could call whoever it was we had in charge of air conditioning and said, okay, we're going to come Tuesday and I need 6 Key Clubbers to help me. So we had Key Clubbers an opportunity to get kind of intimate with those specific tradespeople. So that was a good experience too.
Yeah, I mean, everybody that was there during the brief times that we were able to document some of the things, everybody was hard work, dedicated, enthusiastic. You just saw some, you know, you just saw a lot of enthusiasm.
It was particularly interesting too with that as advisors, Charlie and I just try to point the kids in the right direction and let them go. Most of the time we don't even have to point them in the right direction. They get pointed in the right direction and they go. And what was particularly amazing to me was that the professionals that we did work with picked right up on that. And they wanted the students' inputs. They wanted, you know, they wanted them to do it. They wanted, you know, them to make decisions. They, you know, they wanted that to happen. And it was just really uncanny, you know, how they did pick up on that, and their intuition, you know, led them to that. And it really made the project even more special.
And it really resulted in kind of like just this group effort of a dynamic of all, you know, young people and tradespeople and this whole community kind of coming together. And it was just, it was a remarkable thing to witness. But as you moved through the construction, through the demo, and got into the painting, you know, you were working on a pretty tight deadline because if demo began on the 4th, you wanted to actually turn the keys over to the family on New Year's Eve. And I think someone made the remark, and I'm not sure who did, but you said we want them to start off the new year in a new house. And I mean, to me, that was just, you know, a pretty remarkable effort. So as you move closer to the 31st, tell us some of the things that had to be done. Charlie, what were some of the things that that needed to be done in a short period of time?
Well, everything. You know, some of the early pictures, you know, I mean, the house was completely gutted. So we had to finish everything. You know, all the interior painting and trim and, you know, then once all that was done, then we could bring in all the furniture and furnishings and things that Mary Elizabeth and her group had collected.
But you also discovered a couple of other things, you know, towards the end of it too. And I think one of the great stories that came out of this is that right towards the end, you know, things were doing, you discovered some leaks, some water leaks that were coming in on the roof, and you made a call. And you want to talk about that, John?
We did. we got into it was on that back part of the house, and I think it was the plumber. Somebody had to run something up through the roof and through the ceiling, and they poked a hole up through, and they called me over and they said, we have a problem here. There's really no wood left up here, in the roof. It was pretty much just tar paper and wood rot. And we knew we couldn't turn the house over like that it was an unsafe situation. And that's something we really insisted on the whole time, was that we wanted to make everything safe. We wanted to give the family a safe place to live, that they weren't going to have to worry about things. So we needed, we knew right away we needed more expertise than we had on the job at that point. So I made a call to my very good friends, George and Bruce Manson of Manson Roofing, and that was at lunchtime on Wednesday maybe, and on Thursday morning, actually Wednesday afternoon, they had a crew come out and look at it. Thursday morning, they had a crew out there doing the work, and Thursday afternoon, the roof was all buckled up and like brand new, and it was just amazing.
And hats off to them, just to be responsive, and hats off to all of your participating vendors and participating tradespeople who really just went an extra mile, in my opinion.
They really did, and especially the plumbers from Armstrong, did a great job. The Jim Reynolds helped us put together a consortium really of electricians, and they did a fantastic job. And then the cooling and heating guys, just couldn't do enough for us. And what was particularly neat about all of them was that as their people were there and their people were working, all of a sudden, their lights went on and they realized that something bigger than just kind of doing a little house remodel was going on. And you saw them start to pitch in with things kind of outside their scope of work and helping the kids to do this, that, and the other, and to, to really, make sure that things were working right. So that was the thing that I noticed really, was the amount of teamwork that got developed. And one of the things that I think we all really learned, students and adults and volunteers alike, was just that with teamwork, all this is possible.
And that's extraordinarily well put. Thank you, John.
You were talking about excitement and how it was contagious. I contacted a window contractor friend of mine to do the windows, and he said, yeah, I'll come and help. I'll donate my time, and whatever the windows cost me, I'll do it for you. So I got with him, and we met, and he did the measuring and things, and saw what was going on. He got so excited, he went to his window distributor and spread the excitement to them, and they donated all the windows.
How about that? Isn't that great? I mean, that's just a really remarkable thing, and it all began with a simple idea. Now, as we wind down here a little bit, I want to move towards the December 31st, and the house is finished. Up until the last minute, we saw a lot of things getting done right to the last minute.
Well, remember, we had no, on the morning of the 31st, we had no carpet. The painting wasn't done. The back room wasn't done. One of the bathrooms wasn't done. The tile still needed to be finished. The appliances needed to be put in. I think countertops still needed to be done. So it was
window treatments.
Yes.
But you still had plenty of time left, right?
We did. We had at least 8 hours.
Yeah. But it all got done. And you had a tremendous turnout at the event when you brought the family. Camden and Eric and Mary Elizabeth were kind of shepherding for a while. And you brought the family to the house, and you had the whole move the bus, and a great turnout, community people, a lot of Key Club, a lot of Kiwanis people that were there. And as you moved the bus and you took the family up, and I must say, John, you gave a great speech that day, thanking all the people and outreaching to this community, to show them what great spirit this community has, and you're really to be congratulated for kind of recognizing that. But the family moved in, and Mary Elizabeth, we'll let you take it up. What was their reaction?
They have passed the house, so they've seen the outside before, but once she went inside her house, she was so happy, and she told me, when she walked in her bedroom, she was like, no, this isn't my room. No. Like, they didn't even believe it. It was just amazing to them, and all of them ended up loving their rooms, which was good, and they loved it. And so it made me, very relieved because, of course, we want them to like it after we do so much work. But like Mr. Vita said, our main thing was to make it safe. And I think they were just so appreciative that they have a safe house to live in.
And Camden, you were there. Both you and Mary Elizabeth made some really wonderful remarks that evening as well. And you kind of recognized the efforts of your fellow Key Club. But tell us, and Mary Elizabeth, I want you to take a moment with this as well. You know, at the end of the project, and you're turning the keys over, and you see the family coming in. Tell us a little bit about what you want to take away from this as an individual from this experience.
Well, personally, what I wanted to take away with this was just to show how incredible it was for all these kids to come together and do something like this. At first, I didn't think there was any chance we could get 30 kids there every day, but we did. And it was awesome how we did that. And I was just really grateful that the support we had from our club and the support we had from our community that just showed that during, times of economic troubles and even during the holiday season, how we could get this started. I mean, most high schools are probably at home sleeping in, but our club was out there working, and I was really proud of them for that.
And as well you should be. And Mary Elizabeth, what about you? I mean, you made some wonderful comments that evening and thanking everyone. But what was the most positive thing that you took away from this whole experience?
Mr. Vita said that night that this house is, you know, this group of kids who is here every day, this is our legacy. When we look back on high school and think what we accomplished this house, which I think is a huge achievement. And I'm just so happy that, you know, we did learn so much from it, not just in the construction aspect of it, but in actual seeing what other people don't have and just taking everything for granted. And, you know, it just really hit me, you know, this is our legacy. This is what we did. This is what our Key Club did. We made a huge difference in someone's life. I mean, this changed their life. And just the memory of that to be with us forever.
And I think that's true. I think John's remarks that evening were really touching and really appropriate. So we got a couple of minutes left. I want to go around the table real quickly. Charlie, if you wanted to thank or say anything about this whole project, what would be the key thing that you'd like people to know?
Just there's so many people to thank. You know, people talk about it being a Key Club project, but really it was a community project, and it's just, you know, I was proud to be a part of it. Camden?
As he said, I'd also like to thank the community because it was incredible to see them come out. But I'd also like to thank especially our advisors, Mr. Vita and Mr. Mills. In the beginning phase of this, when we even I didn't think this project would be possible, they always supported us and said that we could do it and stood behind us and helped us get going on it.
I would like to acknowledge all of the people who did behind-the-scenes stuff. We had Miss McClure doing furniture, and she was getting furniture from all kinds of places. I mean, local families in Bradenton donated thousands of dollars worth of furniture. This house was completely furnished by people's donations, and that's just amazing to me that people are just so giving in this time. And also, Annette Larkin made sure we had food every single day.
Very important for a bunch of
Yes, her and her daughter
working.
Madison were great. And they helped, I mean, the guys, of course, were thrilled with that. So it made them come back every day.
And John, before you start, because I want to give you the final closing comment, you would be commended for putting this together and being outreach to all of the many services that help make this possible, and also to be a kind of a guiding force for the Key Club as well. I'm sure many people within this community already look to you as kind of a leader and a community stalwart in this community. But this actual project and the effort that you put forth along with Charlie Mills and all the many other people that participated, you were really to be commended. Now I know that you've gone before the Manatee County Board of County Commissioners and before the school board and presented that, but I think for a wider community to know that the level of effort and the enthusiasm and sense of commitment that you put forth and the leadership that you've shown, you really are to be congratulated.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's very humbling, and you know, I believe that we all live in an absolutely wonderful place, and in order to continue to make it a wonderful place, I think we have to give back a little bit. And the best way that I know to do that is to help other people, and the best people that I know that we can help, and the biggest bang for our buck, if you will, that we're going to get are students like these, and the way that they can go out and the ability that they have to go out to their peers and to show them that by doing some things together and that by working together we can accomplish a great deal of things. So I agree, this really was a community effort, right from the start to the finish. When we started out, it was people that we kind of invited into the project, and people that we needed to be in the project, and at the end people were knocking on the door, saying, well, what can we do? How can we help? And it's just been an absolutely incredible experience. And I hope everybody will take just a minute at the end of this to watch, the credits and look at the businesses that were, involved here. And I know we don't have enough time to list them all and talk about all of them individually. They know who they are, and I want everybody else to know who they are, because without them, it just couldn't be done. And I also, want to just say, without you and your staff, the publicity of this project and really what was there and what we did would have largely remained a secret. And you were there with us from start to finish, and it was just absolutely an incredible commitment on your part, and we appreciate it.
Thank you, John. And we're just happy that we were able to document this, because this is such an invaluable tool, not only for this community now, but for maybe next year when you want to show this to another class. We're going to go around 30 seconds. What's next for Key Club next year? Charlie, we'll start with you.
We haven't decided yet. Our convention's coming up.
Let's hear some ideas. Mary Elizabeth can't come up with all the good ideas. So, are you thinking something similar, perhaps?
I'm kind of spinning around an idea of doing something with our veterans. We haven't done anything with them in a few years, so I'm kind of spinning some ideas around with that. And
Camden,
we'll talk
what do you
about
think? What would you like to see about next year?
Well, I'd like to see them continue some of the big projects we have right now, like our Chow Now program.
Great program.
Yep, and I'm kind of just excited to see what we decide for the next year.
And Mary Elizabeth, you're all full of great ideas. What's yours?
Well, next year will be our senior year, and Camden and all of his friends got together freshman year to go to Louisiana and work there. So, I know all of us seniors would love kind of like a mission trip, go out of state, but, we did a huge project this year, so we'll see. We'll come up with something.
Well, hopefully keep us in mind if you've got a big project. We'd love to, because what you've done here is a great thing for everybody. John, final comment. Who would you like to thank here? Everybody.
Really everybody. I mean, just those major people that came in and helped us out, though, were, we just couldn't have done it without them, and just really Manatee County in general, the generosity of our community, I think, is second to none of any community in the whole United States, and they just really came together, got us what we needed to do, and really we looked like we were doing a lot of work, and we looked like we were doing a lot of things, but really these students, I'd like to thank them for taking a guy that at the beginning was skeptical and turning me into a believer.
Well, I want to thank all of you, not only for what you've done on this extreme Keyover, but also for joining us here today. Charlie Mills, they couldn't ask for a better faculty advisor over there, could they? Yeah. Camden, great job. Great job. Mary Elizabeth, wonderful job.
Thank you.
Both of you are like those quiet, determined leaders that a lot of people should they look up to you and respect your leadership. And thank you for joining us on this special edition of Up Close on METV. Please find out more about the Manatee High Key Club and the Braden and Kiwanis, and perhaps how you can help to either support these activities or to help these young people do other good things throughout our community. I want to thank Charlie Mills, faculty advisor, Camden Mills, president of the Key Club, Mary Elizabeth Woodward, project coordinator, and John Vita. And thank you for joining us on this edition of Up Close on METV.